Paul McCartney did not realize that he had unintentionally upset John Lennon by working on a film soundtrack until he was informed of it years later by Yoko Ono. This revelation is explored in a new book titled John and Paul, A Love Story in Songs, written by author Ian Leslie. The book delves into the complex and evolving friendship between the two Beatles icons, tracing their bond from their early days in 1950s Liverpool through to the tragic loss of Lennon in 1980. One chapter revisits a key moment in 1966 when Lennon traveled to Almería, Spain, to appear in the dark comedy How I Won the War, directed by Richard Lester. During his time there, Lennon was joined by Beatles road manager Neil Aspinall and his then-wife, Cynthia Lennon. It was in this remote Spanish town that he began crafting what would become one of the Beatles' most celebrated songs, Strawberry Fields Forever. When Lennon returned to the UK in November that year to begin work on what would become the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, he found that McCartney had been pursuing creative work of his own. While John had been away, Paul had teamed up with producer George Martin to compose the score for the film The Family Way, a comedy drama. This project would later earn Paul an Ivor Novello Award for its musical contribution. However, Ian Leslie notes that McCartney only learned years later, after Lennon's death, that his solo venture had deeply affected his bandmate. According to Leslie, the episode added to Lennon's growing feelings of insecurity. Paul reportedly found out through Yoko Ono that John had felt hurt by the experience. At the time, Paul believed his collaboration with Martin was in the same spirit as John's own independent projects, like writing books or acting in films. What he hadn't realized, however, was that this marked the first occasion one of the Beatles had worked on music outside the group, and that distinction carried emotional weight for John. While John was filming in Almería, he spent 2 full months devoted to his role under Lester's direction. Ian describes him as remarkably committed, often showing up to the set daily, even when he wasn't scheduled to film. At 26, Lennon had little exposure to life beyond the bubble of Beatlemania, making the experience both daunting and formative. Lennon later reflected on the nervousness he felt during the production, admitting he was far more comfortable speaking to a camera than interacting with people directly. For the role, he was fitted with round, wire-framed glasses, which, despite lacking lenses, he continued wearing both on and off set. Over time, these glasses became more than just a costume prop. They symbolized a new chapter in Lennon's identity and ultimately became a lasting part of his public image.